I think there's a tendency in art in schools to think of the element that you're assessing as being the final outcome. And of course, we're working in the visual arts, so there is often a tangible outcome that we can all look at and enjoy. But we want to flip it on its head a little bit and make sure that schools are remembering to evidence and assess the journey, because we think the journey is really important. The whole of the resources within the primary art curriculum that we've created are about enabling more of an open-ended learning journey. And they're not the kind of resources where we're all rushing towards an end result, especially one where the whole class produces the same kind of artwork. So for us, the journey is vital, and we'd encourage you to document that as well as document the final outcome. And in fact, we'd also encourage you to get the children to document that, get them used to handling a tablet, for example, to take the photographs of the work as they go along. But it's not just about photographs, it's also about conversation. And if you remember in the first slide, then we said a percentage of any child's time at school when they're in the art lessons should be about talking about art. And this is where the time you've spent talking about other artists' work starts to feed in and pay off. So if you can spend time talking to your pupils and getting them to talk to each other about their work, about what they're feeling, what they're doing, what they like, what they don't like, and obviously those conversations and questions will grow as they go through the school. But that's a vital part of you being able to evidence and assess the journey. So again, that might even be done through some simple recordings or just informal chats. And I think children get used very quickly to the idea that they can chat in small groups, but formally chat in small groups, get used to sharing, because don't forget it's quite a brave thing to do sometimes to share your work, especially as the child gets older. Some of them find it more intimidating. And also then gradually get used to the idea of talking in a large group and a class, and try and nurture the feeling that everybody's view is relevant, and that it's not just you, the teacher, it's not top down, it's everybody in the class together is exploring and listening, and go back to that idea of it being a subjective experience, that everybody's view is relevant. So lots of ways to think about how you can evidence. And of course, throughout all those conversations, you're beginning to understand as teacher how that child is doing. And when we use the word assess, we mean it very, very gently. So there are no national standards in primary art, and we don't need to go in there and mark. We just need to begin to have an understanding as teacher where that pupil's at, what they've understood, where they're struggling, where the opportunities are for them. And also, if there are areas that the whole class is struggling with, then maybe you need to spend a little bit more time on those areas. You can pick those out. But within all those conversations, and then obviously looking at what's happening in the sketchbooks and what's happening with the end result artwork, we need to remember that the intention behind everything is really, really vital. And I think sometimes this is forgotten, that often in art, and not just in school, but actually for artists as well, the intention can be a little bit ahead of what we see in practice. So what we see in the art room, the finished piece, or even the experiments in the sketchbook, they're one kind of language, they're a physical language that's emerging, but the articulation of the ideas and the intention is a whole other skill. And some children will be good at that and some will be less good at that. So the intention and the outcome might not always match, but it's really important that you're there listening to the intention, helping you understand where that child's at.